Today we have gathered here to worship Sri Krishna. We must understand the significance of Sri Krishna's advent on the Vishuddhi Chakra. As you know very well, except for once or twice, Sri Brahmadeva has taken his incarnation. Also once Sri Ganesha has taken his birth as Lord Jesus Christ. But Vishnu Tattva, the principle of Vishnu, has taken many a times birth on this earth, as the goddess had to take many a times her birth. They had to work together many a times, and with the principle of Vishnu, the principle of Mahalakshmi has acted to help the ascent of the people. So the principle of Vishnu is for your ascent, for the evolutionary process of human beings. Through this advent and through the power of Mahalakshmi, we have become human beings from amoeba stage. This is a spontaneous working for us, but for the principle of Vishnu, he had to go through various incarnations to evolve. As you know, there have been incarnations of Sri Vishnu as a fish to begin with. I went on till it came to the state of Sri Krishna, where they say that he has become complete. But one has to realize that he works on our central nervous system. He builds our central nervous system. Through our evolutionary process, our central nervous system has been built up. And this central nervous system has given us all the human awareness that we have. Otherwise, we would have been just like the stones. But through this building up of our awareness one after another, building up different chakras within us, this principle of Vishnu has brought us to the understanding that we have to seek the truth and ultimately we have to become Sahajogis. So this principle of Sri Krishna is so important that at the state, as we call it the Vishuddhi Chakra, we become complete. In the sense that when the Sahasrara is opened out for you and you start feeling the vibrations, you are not yet fully complete. If you were just complete, then it would have been an end of your evolution. Because at that stage, if you had finished it, then there was no need to have Sahajog. But actually it means that once the Sahasrara is opened out, then you have to come down to your Vishuddhi Chakra. That means to your collective. If it is not working on your Vishuddhi Chakra, the enlightenment on Vishuddhi Chakra, you cannot feel the vibrations. as you saw yesterday, the artist started playing in a very new dimension. It's not that only they got awakening of the Kundalini. The awakening of the Kundalini was there, no doubt. But it had to come down to their Vishuddhi Chakra. If I could not have brought it back to their Vishuddhi Chakra, their hands would not have moved that fast. They would have never felt the sweetness, the madhurya of Sri Krishna, and they would not have manifested it. So, all that is expressed through your fingers and hands achieves that new awareness of creating the madhurya, the sweetness. In your art, in your music, in your gestures, in every way your hands are very important. But Vishuddhi Chakra also plays part, as you know, on the 16 chakras or the subplexuses which look after our face, our ears, nose, eyes, neck. All these things are looked after by Vishuddhi Chakra. As a result, also you can become great actors. You can have eyes which are innocent. You can have a skin which is shining. You can have ears which can hear the divine music. You can have a nose which shows your dignity. In the same way, your whole facial expression changes. If you are a very harsh person and a hot-tempered person, and you have harshness on your face, or else if you are like a beggar all the time, or you are crying all the time, weeping, your face looks so miserable, everything changes and comes into the center where you look beautiful, you look attractive in the divine way, and also you get a very sweet countenance. Also the teeth and the tongue are looked after by Vishuddhi Chakra. So your teeth which are in trouble get cured. You sometimes, as I told you, I have never been to a dentist all my life. So you can imagine that you don't have to go to the dentist anymore if you have your Vishuddhi Chakra all right. Then also your tongue improves. For example, some people are very sarcastic by temperament. They cannot say something sweetly. All the time they are sarcastic, saying sarcastic things. Some people have a habit of abusive language. Some people are extremely beggarish type, all the time talking in a very beggarish manner. There's no dignity, there's no sweetness, and there is no self-confidence for some people. Some people even stammer. Some people cannot stand on the stage and give a lecture. All these things drop out as soon as your Vishuddhi Chakra improves. This is only outward. This is the outward manifestation of the Vishuddhi Chakra's improvement within yourself through the awakening of Sri Krishna on Vishuddhi Chakra. But what happens really is that inside you, you become a witness. You become a witness in the sense that all that is disturbing, all that is troubling you, all that is a problem, you just start watching it. You start witnessing it. You start seeing it, and you do not get disturbed. That seeing, that witnessing state has a tremendous power. Whatever you see without thinking, your problems get solved. Any problem you have, once you get this witness state, what we call tatastha, means you are standing on the shores and watching the waves to move. Then you know how to solve the problems. So your witness state has to be developed, and sometimes I have seen people have to go through little difficulties to develop that witness state. This is very important, that once the Kundalini starts supplying you from your Sahasrara downward, moving on your chakras and enriching your different chakras, on the Vishuddhi chakra, when it has to stay, it really tries to little bit take you through turmoils. And you start thinking that, see, now my life was so blissful, I had so many blessings, and now what has happened? But this is the time when you should become tatastha, means you should become a witness. If you become a witness, everything improves. For example, you are, say, a person who is working in some place. As soon as you become a witness, you see, your attention goes inside and you start watching things from inside out. As a result, you see exactly what's wrong where. And as you have got the power of witnessing, with that power you get over the problems that you have. Problems get solved very easily if you know how to witness the whole situation than to get involved into it. And this is the best state which we call as Sakshi Swarupatva, which you achieve when the Kundalini comes up and the connection is established and the divine ray starts following through that and enriches your Vishuddhi chakra. Now the name of Sri Krishna has come from the word Krishi, meaning the plowing of the soil for planting the crops. Now he is the one who has done the plowing for us, in the sense that he has created us in such a manner that when the sprouting has to be done, you are already ready for it. But as it is, we human beings spoil our Vishuddhi chakra by many wrong things, as you have seen that we smoke or we take drugs or we take tobaccos and all that. So our Vishuddhi chakra goes out. On top of that, if you are a person who doesn't talk at all or who talks too much or who shouts and screams and who shows temper, raises his voices, also spoils his Vishuddhi chakra. So the first thing is that in your using the Vishuddhi chakra, you have to remember it is to be used for sweetness, for madhurya. If you want to say something to someone, try to say something that is sweet and nice. Practice it. In certain places I have seen that people are used to a kind of a talk. And sometimes they cannot talk in the fashion that is sweet. For them it is adharma, as if to talk sweetly to someone. They only believe that you must really talk in a manner that will hurt others. So hurting anybody is not in the dharma of Sri Krishna. He either killed somebody or he was sweet. There's nothing in between. Either you have to be sweet to people or you have to kill someone. Now killing part you leave it. So you have to be only sweet. You all have to be sweet to each other. Especially among Sahajogis, you have to be extremely sweet to each other. And dealing with others also, sweetly you have to tell them. If you find anything wrong with them, they see this is not good. You are now come to Sahajoga, now you must behave like this or behave like that. Now, Sri Krishna's life has another very significant role to play. That is, he came on this earth after Sri Rama's advent, who was also Sri Vishnu. When Sri Rama came, the people were very ignorant. They had no idea about dharma. So as a king, he wanted to teach them dharma. And so he had to become very serious. So his incarnation was something of a very serious father who is very seriously undergoing all kinds of turmoils and things, and to create an image of a benevolent king. As a result, when his incarnation was over, people became very serious-minded. And all the seriousness started in the religion, all the ritualism started, people became extremely rigid. And that rigidity killed all the joy of life. And then all kinds of other things also started with that rigidity, is the beginning of Brahmanism. Brahmanism started in India when people started using Brahmanism as a birthright, while it is not a birthright of anyone to be a Brahmin, but you have to become a Brahmin. After realization, you become a Brahmin. This fact is established not only in Sri Krishna's time, but also in Sri Rama's time, because Sri Rama himself was not a Brahmin. He made a person to write his Ramayana, who was Valmiki, who was a scheduled caste and was a fisherman. Very surprising, he asked this fisherman to write his Ramayana when he was not a Brahmin. And he made him a Brahmin. In the sense, as you have become Brahmins means knowing the Brahma. Those who know the Brahma are the Brahmins, and not those who are born in the Brahmin caste are Brahmins. And that is why people sometimes get very upset that how can these be Brahmins if they are so perverse and they can commit all kinds of sins. So by following any such religion or any such rigid ideas, you cannot improve. If you call yourself a Christian, then one thing has to be seen in a Christian, that you cannot have adulterous eyes. Now, I would like to know how many Christians can claim that. If they have no adulterous eyes about, say, women, they'll have adulterous eyes about things. So you cannot say that by becoming Christians, we have become really Christians. In the same way, we can say about Hindus. In the Hindu religion, Krishna has said that the Atma resides in everyone. He never said that the birth determines your jati, your caste. But among Hindus, we believe that everybody has a jati and that everybody is a separate thing. Some people are to be treated as low, some as high. This is just the opposite what Sri Krishna has preached, because he said in everybody there is Atma. And now in Sahaja Yoga we have proved that whatever religion you may follow, whatever things you follow, ideas or philosophy, whatever you may follow, you all can become realized souls. So nobody is higher, nobody is lower. The best thing is to believe that all others are wrong and we are correct. But all of those people who believe like this may have to go to hell directly, because they have not reached the truth. The truth is you have to become a realized soul. And if you are not a realized soul, you are nowhere near God. You have to enter into the kingdom of God. Christ himself has said that you have to enter into the kingdom of God, you are to be born again, and when you will be calling me Christ, Christ, I won't recognize you. Openly has said it, he has warned you. Say about Muhammad Sahib himself has said, when the time of Qiyamah, as resurrection will come, your hands will speak. And he has also said very clearly, till the Qiyamah, you do all these things like, you see, Rosa and all that. But when the Qiyamah comes, when you get your resurrection, then you don't have to do. It's clearly said it. But nobody is trying to find out the Qiyamah. Only they are trying to find faults with this or that and fight with each other. Now this resurrection time he has already mentioned. When your hands will speak, it's in Sahaja Yoga. So after this, you don't have to do anything. Now you have become a peer according to him. Once you have become a wali, you don't have to do all these things. And you become dharmati. It is said also in Indian philosophy by Sri Krishna that you become dharmati, you go beyond religion. Means religion becomes part and parcel of it. You don't have to have outside religions which are of no use. It's clearly said. And Sri Krishna has said it as clearly as anybody could say, very, very clearly, that you have to go beyond your gunas, beyond your dharmas. That means you have to become a person who is religious innately. And not, to keep it that far, how can I do? And not to become a person who is just outwardly something like Christian, Hindu, Muslim. No, inside. Inside you have to become. Now as a result of that, you have seen what Sri Krishna has said, that once you become from inside, then I don't have to tell you, don't drink, don't do this, don't do that, nothing. You just don't do it. You just don't do it. And you understand it so well that this should not be done, that should not be done. To overcome all kind of nonsense of religion, Sri Krishna's advent was there. It's a very important advent, but I don't know how many people understand that. He came to show that it's all Leela, it's all the play of God. What is there to be serious? What is there to be ritualistic? You cannot bind God in any rituals. That's why he came on this earth, to tell you that you should not try to bind yourself by rituals which are nonsensical. This was his teaching so many years back. He taught this 6,000 years back. But still, if you see, in every religion, there are so many rituals going on. So when the incarnations died, people started rituals, funny stuff. Even when Sri Krishna died, they didn't know what to do now. Because he said, no more rituals. Just play holy, be happy, joyous, dance, and sing. That's what he said. Now what to do? Now if he has said so, so they started a new theme. Let us make it a romantic stuff. Human beings know how to make everything perverse. Nobody can beat them in this. So they made him look like a very romantic personality, romancing with Radha. Ra is energy, Dha is the one who has sustained energy. So show romances with her. Then she was Mahalakshmi herself, to show his relationship with Mahalakshmi as if they were husband and wife. So there were also some poets who started describing them as husband and wife and all kinds of nonsense. In divine relationship, there is nothing like husband and wife. It's the power which is potential and power that is kinetic. There is no such relationship that exists as human beings try to make it. Because human beings have a habit to bring all the divine incarnations to their own levels. As you have seen that if you see, the best are the Greeks who brought all the great incarnations to their own levels. In the same way, they could not do much with Sri Krishna, so they said, all right, make him a romantic personality. That will suit us. So it suited many horrible people. We had one Nawab in Lucknow who had 365 wives. And he used to dress up like Sri Krishna, sometimes like Radha, and dance. And he said, now I have become Sri Krishna. So many, gurus came as Sri Krishna, playing flute, calling everybody else as their gopis and this and that, all nonsense. And we have so many groups now working like that, Brahma, Kumaris and all that. When there is one Krishna, the rest are all gopis and gopas, and they don't marry and all kinds of nonsense. This is absolutely absurd and perverse and brings bad name to Sri Krishna. Sri Krishna was Yogeshwara. He was Yogeshwara. He was so detached that once his wives, who were his powers, and they said that we want to go across and worship a particular saint. They said, all right, why don't you go? He said, no, the river is in spate and we don't know how to cross the river. He said, all right, you go and tell the river that we want to go and see such and such saint, and Sri Krishna has said that you come down. If Sri Krishna is Yogeshwara, and if he has had no wife, then you go down. So they went to the river and said that if Sri Krishna has had no wives and he is a Yogeshwara, then please go down. The river went down. So they were surprised that he is supposed to be our husband and still he is Yogeshwara, he is so detached. They crossed over and they went and worshipped the saint. So the saint said, now you can go back. When they were coming back, they found again the river was in spate. So they went back to the saint and he said, now how do we go back? He said, how did you come? He said, Sri Krishna said that you go and ask the river, if I was a Yogeshwara, then you go down. All right. So you go and ask the river that the saint did not eat anything whatsoever, and he was absolutely detached about it, so the river will go down. So they were surprised because they had fed him, he has ate everything, he has done everything. So they went to the river and said, "Oh river, the saint never ate anything. He was absolutely detached about food. He did not touch the food." And the river went down. So they were surprised, how is it that the saint ate everything and did not eat anything? Means he was in aswada. He was not involved into the food. He was detached. And they were surprised. That looks like, it looks like a lie from a human point of view. It is not. It is not. That's a fact. He is a Yogeshwara and he is so detached. So people don't understand divinity and they think that how can it be a person who has 16,000 wives and 5 other wives can be a person who is not yet married? Because he was Yogeshwara. And that is what you all have to be, Yogeshwaras. You are married, you have got children. I am happy you are married because that's a auspicious thing to do, to marry to begin with. But you should not get involved with your family, my child, my family. Many people I've seen, they come to Sahaja, get married and get lost. Because to them marriage now, I'm enjoying my family now, looking after my family. Our family is the whole universe. It is not just my own wife and my children, but the whole universe is our family. And this is what Sri Krishna tried to show in his life, that the whole universe is your family. You are a universal being. This is what he preached throughout, that you are a universal being and you have to be a part and parcel of the whole. You are the part and parcel of the whole. The microcosm becomes a macrocosm. And this is not a lecture, but has to happen within yourself, that you have to develop your collective consciousness. And this is the gift of Sri Krishna, because at the brain, he becomes the Virata. So now we have three identities within ourselves. On the heart is Shiva, in the brain is Sri Krishna, the Virat, and in the liver, Brahmadeva. So we have three identities. And in the stomach, in the void, as you say, are all the Guru Tattvas, where all the great gurus from Adinath, Muhammad Sahib, and others up to, we can say, Shirdi Sai Nath, all of them are the Guru principle which we worshipped last time when we were in Andorra. So, how they are all related with each other, how they have worked out together and brought you to the state of this witness is very important. Now, your Vishuddhi Chakra has to be improved. First of all, this feeling guilty business was so much yesterday that I tell you it was impossible to pull it out. There's nothing to feel guilty. It's a fashion, just a fashion. I'm sorry. Morning till evening, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. What are you sorry for? For being a human being or for a surgeon? So one has to be very pleasant towards oneself also. All the time I'm sorry, I should not have done this, I should not have done that. All the time feeling sorry and feeling guilty spoils your left Vishuddhi. As a left Vishuddhi is spoiled, what happens is that your Sri Krishna Tattva is gone. Then you cannot feel the collective. Then you cannot understand what's gone wrong with you. So just if you have to say sorry, also say sorry to God. And after that, don't say sorry anymore. You face it. Whatever you have done wrong, all right, face it. This was wrong, all right, it will not be done. Do not argue with it. Do not continue with it. Just face it and say this was wrong and this wrong I will not do again. And it's finished. For you are, after all, saints now. You have become now Valis. You have become now realized souls. You have become now Atmajas. You have got Brahma Chaitanya. You have seen on your heads there was light. You have seen the proof of it. So I don't have to give you second certificate. Only thing, you better understand and be aware of your own position. As Sri Krishna has said, you have to be aware of yourself. First to get self-realization and then to be aware of your position. Then you will be surprised how you develop proper attention and proper understanding. Absolutely, it's an easy thing to do as soon as you find that you have achieved that witness state. So please try to make yourself a witness. When you see something, go into thoughtless awareness. That is your food. Don't think. See the beauty that is there. Just pouring in. Just watch how these trees are standing still, just watching you all. See, absolutely still, nothing is moving. They don't allow even one leaf to move. Let it be. Till the breeze starts, mother starts the breeze, till we'll just keep quiet and watch. Like these mountains, how they are steadily watching everything and emitting joy and beauty. In the same way, we have to become a witness. We need not talk too much, we need not keep quiet, but in the center, we should witness the whole thing as Leela. That's why he's called as Leeladhara, means the one who sustains the Leela of persons. It doesn't make you mad, it doesn't make you funny, but it makes you joyous. Anything that makes you joyous is the Vishnu principle of Sri Krishna. I hope all of us are going to enjoy our Vishnu principle hereafter as we have enjoyed before by meditating. Because when we meditate, we go into thoughtless awareness. When we are in thoughtless awareness, then only we grow. Otherwise, we cannot grow. Whatever we may try, we cannot grow. Unless and until we meditate, we cannot become thoughtlessly aware. All those who also want to gain in any walk of life, in any dimension, those who want to become, say, great artists, great scientists, great anything, in Sahaja Yoga is important, you must meditate. Otherwise, the Kundalini will come down and you lose all your talents. That's a fact which has to be told, and you have seen how people got transformed. But sometimes it can be very temporary and it may go down if people do not take to it in the proper way. I wish you all very great luck for your witness state. In the witness state, we do not anyway express ourselves in a funny manner, but just in looking at ourselves. Because only we have created all the problems. It is we only, detaching ourselves from ourselves, can see these problems and can solve them. By God's grace, as I know you all are going to grow very much, and this state is to be achieved. In every state, whether it is a blessing, whether it is a progress, or whether it is just turmoil, you have to be seaworthy. Any ship which is a seaworthy is the one which can face all kinds of beautiful voyages or even turmoils and even the tempest. May God bless you.